because it's totally logical that on my first anniversary episode I would require several takes of my introduction. It's not like I've been doing this for a year. On the show for you this week, it is with great pride and pleasure that I can show you my whitboard, which is a little bit smaller than it was before. Well, no, I mean the board isn't smaller, but you know what I mean. Haha. We talk about all the cows that are going on in Project Bag land, and I share some of my favourites that you've been creating. In true podcaster style, I have some FOs for you, and I have made a considerable dent on some whips. And it wouldn't be an annual anniversary episode if I didn't come full circle and show you what I bought at Fibre East, just like I did on that first episode on the 5th of August 2018. Hello and welcome to the anniversary episode of the Project Bag podcast. The Project Bag podcast is one today. Well, not today. I'm recording this on the 1st of August and our anniversary is on the 5th of August, and that is when I'm aiming to get this out. We know what I'm like for grand plans and it not happening. So we shall see. If you're watching this on the 5th of August, then I've done it. Yay me! If not, well, business as usual, right? For those of you who don't know me and have stumbled into my little corner of the crafting world, possibly quite by accident, and are wondering where the exit is, my name's Gemma and I'm coming to you as always from my home in Kent, where I live with my husband and my two gorgeous cats, who are in a major strop today, by the way. Alan's doing the gardening outside. He has got his new favourite thing, which is weed killer. And of course, we cannot let the cats out while the weed killer is wet. So I have tried to record this several times to be interrupted by proper full-on yowling from Archie, who is part Maine Coon, so he's quite chatty anyway. And then a mad dash to create some sort of litter tray for him because he clearly didn't go before we locked him in. So anyway, that's all sorted. I'm back. He's calm now. The yowling has stopped magically, and we're free to carry on with the episode. This is a podcast about spinning. Yes, it's coming back. Knitting, crochet, sewing, hand dyeing, and lots of general nonsense. I was looking back at the very first episode the other day because naturally I would do that to myself. And it wasn't as cringeworthy as I thought. I mean, obviously I'm very proud of it because it was such a big deal to put that first episode out there. And of course, to talk about Lara and Truly Hook's pattern in her book named after Lara. So super proud of all that. But within the first 40 seconds, I started as I clearly meant to go on with podcasting by announcing my cats would do an episode. I meant make an appearance. And it seems to have been that way ever since, but you guys seem to be enjoying it. I enjoy talking to you, so what's to lament? And actually that's going to bring me to my very first piece of admin. It is my anniversary, our Podiversary, so we're going to have a giveaway. I'm going to run this for a couple of weeks and I will draw it towards the end of August or beginning of September. I may even get someone in Perth to pull a prize for me just for extending the celebrations, because Perth as well was a huge thing for me last year, as you know, and I'm going back as a vendor this year. So in the Ravelry group, there is a thread, 1 year of the Project Bag podcast. You poor things. Thank you for putting up with me. And I would like to know what your best bit of the podcast is so far. This isn't a kind of ego stroking competition, okay? I am fully expecting it to be something stupid that I've done because this is me, but I have also asked what you'd like to see more of. So if you can think of something that would improve your experience of the podcast for you, then I'd be really interested to hear. I can't obviously take everything on board, but I'll do as much as I can. They're picking at the cat flap again. Bear with me. Okay, so that's the Podiversary. We're also having a live knit and natter, which I'm hosting on an app called Zoom on Monday the 5th of August tonight. If I don't get it out on time, I'm really, really sorry, but you've missed it. But, you know, follow me on Instagram and then you will always be up to date with this sort of thing. It's totally free to use. You just need the Zoom app and you need to drop me a message to ask for the room code. I will make sure that it's a safe space. So if I don't know you, if your profiles are set to private, then I'm going to reserve the right to protect the other people in that space. So do drop me a message. And I do hope that lots of you will join us because it should be great fun. I know Ellen's hoping to check in, and it should just be a lot of fun. So that's a nice way to celebrate, because it feels right celebrating with you, because I'm here because of you. You know, I'm obviously you don't do this just for like views and subscribers and things, but it helps you have the confidence to carry on. And the fact that I've got 250 odd of you now is amazing. Thank you. There are so many incredible podcasts out there. I know a couple are on hiatus at the moment, so maybe you're coming to me out of desperation, but the fact that you're willing to sit with me every week, every couple of weeks, whenever I podcast at the moment, because it's a little bit erratic, it just means the world. Thank you. And yeah. So anyone else who doesn't know, I am the dyer and designer, tutor and maker behind the project bag. I dye yarns, I make bags, I design patterns, and there are 2 coming out. Yes, they're finally happening. Oh, it's taken so much work by so many people, but we're nearly there. This isn't a hard sell podcast. This is my chance to sit down with you and have a crafty chat. So how about we get on with that? I want to start by having a look at some of the cals that we are running. We have the Crack Those Whips cal. It's been brought back for a second year. Anything that was a whip on or before the 1st of July 2019 counts. All you need to do is finish it. What could be simpler? Just gonna move my whipboard off screen there. Oh dear. Yeah, so I am going to be pulling prizes at the end of that cal. It's just one thread, chatter away, flashy finished objects. I'm not going to do multiple threads for that one. It's getting to be a little bit too much admin. I have actually cracked some whips this year. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I'm so pleased. And the other 2 cals that are going on are the Fan Club cal and the Lace Along. Both of those are winding up. Rinding up? It's not cheese. It's a cal. It's a create along, craft along. The Project Lamb Lace Along is co-hosted by my friend Ellen of Mrs. Lamb's Yarn, or Kalokshak Ellen, and it's hosted in my Ravelry group. If you use mine or Ellen's yarns, you qualify for an extra prize, entry into an extra prize draw, and finished objects count as well. So get yourself into the chatter threads, because I pull prizes for chattering as well every couple of months. And yeah, anything lacy that challenges you. So don't come to me, some sort of proficient Shetland lace knitter, and do yarn over knit 2 together for a few rows and say that's your lace entry. It won't hold. It won't hold. And the Fan Club cal is anything you can be a fan of. All the instructions, all the rules, all the guidelines are in the Ravelry group, so I'm not going to spend too long talking about it now, because I've got so much to talk to you about and it's so exciting. Yes, it is. on. Wow. 1 year of the podcast. How about we start with regular content, and I will dip in a few along the way, some ways in which you can also enter to win prizes for various things. Drum roll, please. That was pathetic. Do it on your laps for me, you know how they did at school. Da, 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 da. My whip board. Last time I spoke to you, it had 37 whips on it. Now, it has 32. Look, because I've left all 37 up there. But what I've done is I've added an extra section, fin or fun, for finished. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things finished. And yes, 4 of them are pairs of socks and 1 of them is a child's vest. But that doesn't matter, okay? What matters is they're finished and I finish things. Hooray! One of the first things to be finished were my Dragon Hill Studio socks. I really love this yarn. I bought it at Fibre East last year. Dragon Hill Studios is run by Sharon and Andrew. My very first episode, I spent the entire time referring to her as Sandra, God knows why, and had to record it again. But what lots of you won't know is that Sharon is also a technical editor of patterns, and we got talking at Fibre East last year, and I don't know why, but I told her that I was designing a sock pattern, and she talked to me about tech editing, and she did not push me to go with her at all. She said she could recommend people and all the rest of it, but it was a good idea if you're going to be a designer to have your patterns tech edited. And I said, well, the thing is, I'm only just starting out and I don't really, and it wasn't that I didn't want to invest the time and money in it, I just didn't think that my designs were important enough, really, I guess. But she made the very good point that actually first impressions count, and you want even a simple sock pattern, you want people to be able to follow, and she's so right. So she tech edited the sampler cowl for me, put a picture here, which is what I use to teach my beginners to knit. I'm running several courses. People are now buying it to teach themselves, just to build their confidence. And she has tech edited one of my FOs as well, and she's doing another one at the moment. So yeah, I'll talk more about that later. But I bought this yarn at Fibre East last year, Fibre East 2018. It is the pink dahlia colourway, and I don't know if you can just see, can you just see the shimmer? Little bit of shimmer. It's got silver stellina through it, and I knit this far, and then I thought, oh, I don't want to break the stripe pattern. I wonder if they do minis. So I emailed them, and actually they didn't have any at that point, but they did dice them up, and so I bought from them a mini, which is exactly the right pink, which is just incredible to me. I'm a dyer myself, so I do know that actually getting a specific colour can be quite challenging, but they've matched it beautifully. So I did an afterthought heel, true afterthought heel, and I just did the toe in the mini as well. I think if I was to do it again, I probably would do the cuffs as well, but because I'd already started knitting when I decided that I wanted to use the contrasting or coordinating heels and toes, I wasn't about to undo that. But there's one. And just for proof, there's the other one. I do finish things. Yes, I do. Okay, the next finished object was the pink Henry tank that I talked to you about last time. This has been gifted, so I'm going to flash a picture up on the screen right now for you. So on one side you can see the pattern book with the pink version, you can see my version in the middle, and then just the little gift bag we gave it to Joy in. Just because it made a nice picture. Now I knit the first size, and it's just as well, I'm a loose knitter, because Genius here managed to knit on the wrong size needles. I cast on the bigger needles and did the rib on the bigger needles, and then I went down to do the body of the rest of the vest really on smaller needles. That's why I'm a bit frilly with my collar, because I've got too many rows. Yeah, I mean it fits, so that's fine. But it just goes to show that it doesn't matter if you've been knitting for 2 years or 22 years, or in my case 27 years, mistakes can still be made. And there's no hierarchy of knitting prowess here. You know, everyone makes mistakes, everyone learns new techniques all the time. I only knit my first shawl last year, for goodness sake. Or this year actually, started and finished. I'd cast on one last year, but you know, I haven't finished it yet. Surprise, surprise. So you know, if you're enjoying it, that's what matters. That's what I think. You know, you should never be ashamed to show off your knits. And this knit was done on the wrong size needles because I clearly paid attention to the pattern. My next finished object is a really special one. The My Daughter socks that I showed you the hoe of on the very first episode have now been finished. I didn't actually cast on the second sock until last week. The pattern has been fully tech edited, and I told myself that I would do the second sock when that had happened so I could just check through. It wasn't second sock syndrome at all. But here it is. This is the formerly known as the My Daughter sock. Thanks to people on Instagram, it is now going to be known as the Lara's Legacy sock. I was going to name it the Bliss sock. I didn't want to centre Lara in all of it, but actually everyone who was watching my Instagram live when I was talking about it, they said it should be the Lara's Legacy sock because that's what it's for. And there's going to be a whole collection of patterns. I'm working with other dyers as well. Two of my lovely friends want to collaborate with me, so I'm doing a shawl and a hat design as well, so there will be a collection. But as you can see, it is a cuff down with a traditional heel flap and gusset, and the magic is with the embroidery stitches and the cables here. There is a little bit of fandangling to be done, turn it that way, a little bit of fandangling to be done, because it's an interesting stitch count. So there's a bit of shifting and there's a float at the start, but they are fairly speedy to knit, and you end up with lovely comfortable socks. Now every single penny that I raise from this, anything that's a proceed, so fees from Ravelry obviously can't go to the charity because they're taken by Ravelry, so after fees everything else will go to Lara's Legacy, which raises money for Bliss charity. And the CEO of Bliss has incredibly kindly said that anything I raise in Lara's name can go directly to the research project, the research appeal, for research into prematurity, fetal medicine, fetal health, neonatal death, all that sort of thing. Typically what happens with a charity is they will say what they want to raise money for, but then those funds do get disseminated throughout the charity because it needs it. The whole charity needs to function. And, you know, it's not going to work as an appeal if you say, can we help us raise money so we can put paper in the printer for the important leaflets that we pass out to parents. It won't, you know, it's not got the same thing. But I did actually speak to one of the Bliss charity coordinators who spoke to the CEO, and he said absolutely, he or she said absolutely, it can go to the research appeal, which just means so much. So you know that if you buy this pattern from me, every penny of the proceeds will be going directly to that research appeal and will make such a difference to the crazy number of children that are born too small, too soon, too sick every year, and in turn will help produce the 15 babies every day that die in the UK. So thank you in advance. Okay, I'm having a bit of a disaster. I cannot find my next finished object. What? Now, you will have noticed that I only held up one of the Lara's Legacy socks. That's because the other one is at my friend's in the box, ready to go to Perth. So, and it's the same for the rest of the whips, the finished objects I have to show you. I only have one of the socks, but I promise you the others are already done. So here is my Grubby Goldfish sock. I have put in a true afterthought heel and I have done the toe. This is another one that was cranked for me by Amy Florence on her circular sock machine, which is an Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster. You can literally Google Amy Florence sock machine and it will come up. It's shocking. I can't spell it, but at least I know what it is, and I don't ever ask her. I get friend points for that. So Amy did a hung hem for me with waist yarn, which you can't see because I've pulled it all out, and she cranked the tube to about there, so I hold all that tube and I cut in at this point and put the afterthought heel in, and I then did the toe as well. Now this one has been done to fit my husband, so it doesn't fit my sock blockers. In my very first episode, I shared my tale of woe, which is that I have small feet and I struggle to get sock blockers to fit. These sock blockers fit my feet, but it means that if I'm blocking for a normal human, like my husband, you get a floppy end because his feet are bigger than mine. But I'm really pleased that he is happy to have these when they are done being show samples, but they will be with me at Perth along with my grubby goldfish yarn, and I do hope you'll come and have a squish. My final finished object still has the ends poking out in true Gemma style because, as we all know, I'm not a big fan of weaving in those ends. I call this finished, and that is my Fairy Kisses colourway, which again has been cranked by Amy. You can tell because of just the gauge, and also it's a bit wider. Her machine is 72 stitch and I tend to do my socks as a 60 stitch. It's a tighter gauge, so it's not hugely big, but it is obviously bigger than my sock blocker. You can see there the waist yarn because I haven't picked that out yet. So what Amy would do is she'd put on some waist yarn, crank a bit, do a hung hem, and then crank the rest of the sock and put waist yarn between the two socks then, which I then snip across. If you are curious about that, in episode 27 I do show you how I separate the sock snakes for you. And again, there is a true afterthought heel and a toe with a Kitchener stitch, and I have actually, because I've done so many of these now, upped my Kitchener stitch game. The idea of Kitchener stitch is that you can't tell you've done it. Come on, you can focus, you can do it. Come on, there you go, it wants to focus. Yeah, you can just about see here that it does just look like normal knitting. I'm really pleased with that because it gives me the confidence to try Kitchenering other things. So for example, this month's The Knitter magazine has the most beautiful pattern by Ellie someone, I'll put the name down here, and it's a shrug, a lace shrug, and it's done in two parts and you graft it together in the middle using the Kitchener stitch, which I would have been terrified of until just now because I know that I would end up with my stitches showing. But yeah, the way the Kitchener stitch works is it does actually create another knit stitch in between the two, which I just think is incredible. Yeah, thank you, Lord Kitchener. So yes, those of you who are paying attention will note that I had five finished objects, which has got to be the most I have ever had. Yes, I know that 4 of them were socks, and of 3 of those I only needed to put a heel and a toe in, but you know what, it counts and I'm taking that win. Those are 5 whips cracked and I couldn't be happier. So I have left them on my board. I've got my finished section here, and I am still working through my you can just about see I've crossed out the fairy socks there. I didn't have the right sort of pen. I'm still working through my Perth samples. So the one that got love last week, oh, should I show you a hoe? I have a hoe. So I've recorded a bit of footage here and I'll put it in and do some voiceover work because I can't remember actually what I said in it because it was so long ago. But I used West Yorkshire Spinners yarn in the Rum Paradise colourway to do a sample for the shop because we are having a Summer of Socks window. Totally stole the idea of a Summer of Socks from Nikki of the Tea and Possibilities podcast, but details. And you know what? It's amazing. When I got to this shop, there was nary a sock sample in sight. I found eventually a pair of Rose City rollers that were kind of hanging off a shelf. But I was like, what yarn shop doesn't have sock samples? So one of my beginner knitters knit one up in the Arlen Carlos yarn that we had. And then we talked about having a Summer of Socks window and how wonderful would that be. And then the problem hit us. No socks. Oh my goodness, the regulars came good. Our local customers who drop in all the time we'll lend you our socks, because they've been on such a sock knitting kick, because we've had Marcus of Fibre Punk self-striping yarn, we've got Verity of Truly Hooks yarn, and there's been a lot of sock knitting in Faversham. So we now have this wonderful kind of washing line created from yarn, and hanging from it are all these odd socks and pairs of socks, hose and foes from our lovely customers, and it's a real kind of community feel in that window. It feels amazing. It feels amazing. And my contribution was a West Yorkshire Spinner self-striping sock, and I decided to use socks because I wanted to keep the stripe pattern intact. So picture on the screen, footage on the screen, I'll pass you back to past me and you can be impressed.
Okay, so here is my sock. I have used, believe it or not, a different yarn and colourway for my cuff and my heel, and I will also use it for the toe. This is Socks by Coop Knits, and it's 4-ply, and it's got nylon merino, but it picks out this colour perfectly. What a great match. So I did that because I didn't want to interrupt the stripe sequence. Now the heel, I have done an afterthought heel, but I have done it before finishing the foot. So I basically tried it on, decided how long I wanted my leg, put the heel in, and I've continued knitting down the foot, and I'm just about to do the toe. This is actually going to be a little bit too long because I didn't want to put this colour next to this colour. I wanted it to be broken up, so it's only going to be broken up by the white, but that will help. Show you when it's done.
So if I can bring you back to my whipboard just for a moment, you'll notice that on my sock section I've got H's written next to some of them, and that means half object. That means I've done half of them. So the Aurora Borealis socks are a half object, the speckled egg socks are a half object, the opium socks are a half object, and I've got all of those waiting to be finished. The fairies socks are done, and the West Yorkshire Spinner socks, you can see there it says half object as well. I have actually cast on the second sock, I've got it at work, so I haven't got it here to show you. I really like West Yorkshire Spinners. I was not happy at all with the gauge that I got on their recommended gauge and needle size, so I just did my standard 2.5mm needle, 60 stitch cast on, and went for it. The stripes aren't coming out perfectly, but that will be down to me not using the correct gauge, but I just didn't like the fabric that I personally got when I was doing it, because I'm quite a loose knitter anyway. So that's that. But I love the colours, can't wait to have the second one, and yeah, that'll be another pair of socks for my box of socks. Will I have 12 pairs of socks? Will they count because Amy cranked half of them? Will I have a cheats box of socks? What do you reckon? Can I have an honorary box of socks if I manage to get all of these done? I have to see. Okay, so on to whips then. I've already shown you my half object. The other one I've done is actually crochet, and I'm so excited about this. So excited that I've managed to drop the hook and drop a few stitches as well at the end. This is the Lace Diagonals shawl. And I'm using my Port colourway. It's a cheeky new cast on. Now what happened with this is I did a pop-up in Canterbury on the 14th of July, and I gave my, cat hair. I gave my booth buddy the Aurora Borealis socks to put the afterthought heel in. I was going to show her how to do them, and she got part way through picking up the stitches when her she snapped the needle. Luckily, Knit Pro give a lifetime guarantee, and she hadn't sat on it. It wasn't her fault, so I was just able to swap it out of the shop, and it's going to go back to the suppliers. So that was fine. But it did leave me in a bit of a pickle, because the only other thing, she can't crochet, well, she can crochet because I've taught her, but she's not very confident. And the only other thing I had was my cable jumper that I was doing, my cable cardigan, which, spoiler, hasn't seen any love this week. Flew, people, flew. That's my excuse. I've done all of this. You've got all these finished objects. I don't have to touch that jumper. So what I did was I took my cardigan off the needles so I could give her the needles, and she caked up a skein of yarn and cast on a shawl for Perth. There we go again, in my Tiger Lily colourway. And that left me with 6 hours and nothing to do. I mean, obviously, if customers came, wonderful, but I couldn't not knit or crochet for 6 hours. So what we did was we caked up a ball of a skein of port, which is actually going to be one of my autumn winter colourways. I did already have it out, but I wanted it to be part of this collection. And I started crocheting the lace diagonals shawl, which is a free pattern. So you start here, and it works like lots of shawls do, knitted shawls, increasing at one side. And then you've got this panel of lace, which I've just finished the first panel, and you go up a hook size for that to make it nice and open. And I'm just about on the next panel of what you would consider, if you were knitting, as just plain stocking stitch or garter stitch. And I'm really enjoying it. It's my first crocheted shawl. Yeah, and I think it's my first thing that I've crocheted in such fine yarn as well. I think up till now all my crochet has been DK or Aran weight, so to actually be crocheting in 4-ply, and I just love the way the colour has come out. It's a true semi-solid. It's actually, on my phone, it's coming up a lighter red. It is actually more a port wine colour, more purpley than burgundy, but I don't know how it's going to come up on the computer screen, because there always seems to be a bit of a disconnect between the two. So I'll be talking about something, seeing it coming up on my phone, and you'll be looking at it a few days later going, what are you talking about? But anyway, that's the lace diagonals shawl. I've made quite good progress. I was down here because I kept ripping it back, and I did all of that last night. I really wanted to try the lace section because I've never done crocheted lace before. I really wanted to try it, and I'm so pleased with it. It's a bit scary because I don't have the same confidence with crochet as I do with knitting when it's doing something complicated like this. I worry that I haven't got the right number of stitches. And actually my one critique of this pattern is it doesn't tell you how many stitches you have at the end of each row. And it doesn't give you exact numbers of repeats. It just says repeat until the end and then do this in the last stitch. Now, if I don't have enough stitches, how do I know that my end is ending correctly? I mean, it seems to have worked out, but and this is why a tech editor is so important, right? Because one of the things Sharon said to me about the Lara's Legacy socks was that it would be better for everyone if, rather than me saying knit across heel, I would say knit across heel, this is 18 stitches. And rather than just decrease for the gusset, repeat these 2 rounds until you have X number of stitches on the needles. If I was to say repeat it this number of times or that number of times. And I, from the other side, as a crocheter who isn't as confident, I mean, I'm proficient in that I've been crocheting since I was about 15, so 17 years, but I haven't got the same confidence as I do with knitting yet. And so something like this, which is out of my comfort zone, but I've just realised this could totally count as an entry for the Lace Along Cowl, couldn't it, if I was eligible for prizes? But I might stick it in my finished objects post at the top anyway in my Ravelry thread. But I'm really pleased with it. I was considering having to send it to my lovely friend Kim, who I had the pleasure of meeting in real life on Sunday at Fibre East. It was so lovely to meet you, Kim. But I think, having done this last night, I might be able to pull this off. We'll have to see. So that's the ball of yarn, and you can see all the tones in there. Right, that is it for whips. I haven't done any of the shop whips because I haven't been at work, so there's nothing to show you there. And sure, for an art lover, just don't talk to me about it, okay? Right, yeah, we're good. Yeah, you're not going to ask me about it at Perth, are you? No, we're good, we're cool, brilliant, nice one. So, this time last year, I had just been to Fibre East. This time this year, I have just been to Fibre East, and I have some goodies to show you. So we are going to now move along to talking about Fibre East and some stash acquisitions. This Fibre East was different for me in that this time I knew a lot more vendors personally. So obviously I met Sharon last year and we've met at some festivals since, and obviously she's been putting up with a lot from me because I'm the world's worst designer to tech edit for, because I keep like getting confused and doing other things, and anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm a pain in the bum, but she's been incredibly patient with me. And Lisa, for the love of yarn, I got to go and see her, who I haven't seen since Edinburgh, and we just, when you just hit it off with someone straight away, like Lisa and I met her for the first time at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Our mutual friends organised a meet-up for people, and we just hit it off straight away, and it feels like we've been friends for years. So I was thrilled to see her. Obviously Hutch was over. Oh, I have another hoe to show you. Hang on, we're not done with hoes. This isn't my hoe though, okay? But talking about Sharon, my tech editor, and talking about Hutch, and talking about the fact I dye yarn, check this baby out. Is that coming up bright? Is it? This is my old school sock. You will recognise the pattern because Hutch did a test knit for me as well, in my Cinder Dragon colourway. So this is actually my yarn, which I'm really thrilled with. And yeah, she knit the sock. She said she's never had second sock syndrome, and I said, well, it must be the pattern then. She said it isn't. It's fine. For whatever reason, she just can't get into it, the second sock. But it's come all the way from Ireland. She's managed to bring it. We're actually in a group together online, and I said, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to see you. And she just put in block capitals, I brought the sock. So naturally, I have to show it off. Now, my daughter socks are done. The Lara's Legacy socks, they're edited. They're pretty much ready to go. I am hoping and praying that these ones will be as well for Perth. We'll do what we can. I mean, the thing is, the Lara's Legacy socks, it wasn't a badly written pattern, okay? My tech editor has told me this, so there you go, take it from her. But it was a long pattern, and there's lots of technical things in there. Not technical in the sense that newish knitters couldn't tackle it. I mean, Liz of Trey Liz did it, and she had said she didn't feel like a proficient sock knitter, but she has absolutely smashed it out of the park with these. But there were over 400 edits that needed doing for consistencies and explaining things and all the rest of it. So it's taken a lot of time. I'm hoping that these will be slightly quicker. But yeah, this is a hoe that I picked up from Hutch at Fibre East. Hutch, you're amazing. Thank you. So I then went to Fibre East. It is actually my 7th anniversary with my husband this year, which is the wool anniversary. If you've got it coming up, start dropping hints. If you've missed it, collect interest. Alan remembered it was our wool anniversary because I've been bashing him over the head about it since, I don't know, about our 3rd anniversary when I found it out that it was wool. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. So he gave me some pennies to spend at Fibre East, and I'm going to show you what I got. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but this is the Tenet Terra shawl by Third Vault Yarns, and it's a collaboration with Angie of Gamer Crafting. And I went to Third Vault Yarns stall, and I was really excited to go, and I had a squish of the shawl, and it is so soft and it's got such good drape. And of course, she showed me such beautiful colour combinations, but I came away with the one remaining kit that was exactly as she did the shawl. Here, let me show you. So this is the main colour, which is called the Space Between, on the companion sparkle base. And you can see the sparkle in there. You can see the grey main base colour with these flashes of bright blue, the coppery tones coming through, the purples. It is just dreamy. I love it, and it's so soft. The base is, this is Third Vault Yarns, 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina, 400 meters to 100 grams. It's a high twist as well. Beautiful. And these, if I can hold them all up, are the minis that go with them to make the kit. Aren't they beautiful? They're all sparkly and just stunning. I have made a pledge. This is a big deal. I cannot go to Fibre East next year unless I finish this shawl. And now you all know about it. Okay, so that would be my prize. My reward for getting this finished is going to Fibre East next year. Talking about prizes, we have reached 250 subscribers, and I am now going to tell you the prompt for down in the comments box to enter for the 250 subscriber giveaway. The prompt is, it's two-parter. What is it that makes you subscribe to podcasts? Not mine, to podcasts in general. And what is the craziest rabbit hole you've ever dived down as a result of watching a podcast? We all know that podcasters are influencers and enablers and general leader restrayers. So let's find out. I'm curious to see what's the craziest thing you've done as a result of having watched a podcast. I think that could be quite fun. Let me know in the comments down below. This is a YouTube one, not a Ravelry one. So it will only be comments below that are permitted. I do have moderation switched on. And so obviously I will moderate before I allow the comments to stand. So don't panic if yours doesn't appear straight away. Okay, the first place I went to was Octopus for a Preemie. I wanted to see them. I wanted to thank them in person for the work they've done. It wasn't that area that did it, but they were people who were raising money for the charity. And I took Princess Consuela with me, who's one of Lara's octopies. This is actually a quadrupus. She's got 4 legs, 4 tentacles. I took her with me. I wasn't expecting to burst into tears, but I did. So I'm beginning to think that this is my thing, to be emotional and broken at Fibre East. So the first year I'd had my breakdown and I was off work with depression and anxiety. Second year, last year, I was picking up the book from Verity and we just lost Lara. And this year I went to see Octopus for a Preemie, and I bought from them a wristband to support the charity, Octopus for a Preemie, which I wear proudly. And I also got, but I'm not going to get them out now because of cat hairs and things, 2 balls of cotton yarn from them that are approved to crochet the octopi. If you want to do an octopal, they can be knitted or crocheted, they can be flat or they can be amigurumi. I said it. You need to join the group on Facebook and you need to read all the rules and recommendations. I'm not going to go into it all now because I'm running short of time for this episode, and I will do something about Octopus for a Preemie coming up for Baby Loss Awareness Week and Prematurity Day. But do go on, because you cannot just use any old yarn. Not all the colourways of all the yarns are safe, and it is so important that safety comes first with these little ones. It really is, and I know you'll appreciate that. Okay, one of the prizes for the podcast, I think, has managed to go home with my friend who I took to Fibre East. Isn't that typical? So I'll have to show that to you next time. But I also made 2 more purchases, and clearly orange is strong with me at the moment, because I picked up this braid of flame from Witchcrafty Lady, Almas, who was vending with wool tops. It took me a while to find her, because I didn't know she was vending under that name, but they do vend together. And I got this braid of flame, which is Superwash Polworth. I have not spun in quite some time, and actually just a few weeks ago I did destash all of my fibre, but this just kind of glowed from the middle of the rack and it had to come home with me. So this is it. You heard, oh look, it's actually glowing on my face. You heard it here first, guys. I'm going to be spinning again. My baby knitter who I took with me, it was her first Fibre Festival, so I just sort of sat back and watched it happen. It was amazing. That kind of parental almost amusement of watching a child at Christmas or something. It was very much like that when I took my friend. And she was just so taken aback with all the yarns and talking to the vendors and learning about types of sheep and rare breeds and the spinning process. And I took her to Spinspired and Anna gave her a lesson just in the same way as she gave me a lesson last year, and Sarah came away with a drop spindle and fibre, and then we both bought fibre from Witchcrafty Lady as well, so that's very exciting. My final purchase is actually this skein from Easy Knits. This is going to be for a pair of socks for Alan. He's requested a pair of Lara socks, Verity's Lara socks, for our anniversary, because it's a wool anniversary. He wants me to dye yarn for him for it, but I am just a little bit scared that I'm not going to get the right colour. So I went and spoke to John of Easy Knits, and he helped me find, he knew about the pattern, and he said speckles would work well with cables, and he helped me find a skein of yarn. I'm not going to go into the meaning behind it because that's very personal, but suffice it to say, this means a lot to me and to Alan and to Lara. And so these socks will be being cast on very, very soon. So I am in grave danger of ending up with 40 odd whips again. So I'm going to carry on trying to cast some of them off. And all that remains for me to do is to talk to you a little bit about my autumn winter colourways and give you a preview. Very exciting. Hello, well here I am again, costume change, a few days later, still sounding a little bit nasal but hopefully a bit better than I was. Basically what happened was on Thursday, which is my regular recording day, as you know, the cats were being kept indoors and there was drama, and then that meant that I ran out of time, and I looked up at the clock and suddenly realised it was 11:45 and I had to get out of the door exactly on that moment to be at work on time. So yeah, I had to literally just drop everything and go. So I am back. I can't quite remember where I got to. I've deleted the files off my phone already because of space. So we're just going to try and pick up where I left off. I do have a Fibre East acquisition to share with you. It's not a stash acquisition because this is one of the prizes. This is one of the prizes for the 1 year of the Project Bag podcast. Here you go. Aren't these just adorable? Now, come on, please focus. These are handmade. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I've lost the skill. This is ridiculous. I will manage this at some point. Right. Come on. Focus, please, on that. Oh, there we go. Right, so these are handmade coffee pot and teacups, milk jug by Wim Wham. Now, Wim Wham, I actually came across at the Wool Monty. An absolutely charming man came round and was having a look at all the stores and was telling us about what he does. And he said, oh, I make China tea sets as stitch markers. And I thought, yeah, that sounds incredible. And then other people came around and said, they didn't say that. Other people came around and said, oh, you've got to see these tea sets, they're amazing. And I never actually got off my stand long enough to go and have a look. So imagine my delight when I saw him at Fibre East and was able to find and pick up a little set of a coffee pot and coffee cups and a milk jug just for you for a prize. I haven't got one for myself. Hopefully I will one day, but this is for you guys. So at Wim Wham Buttons, we pride ourselves on our craftsmanship, made using fine bone china. Our buttons are handcrafted at our home on Stoke-on-Trent, the heart of the potteries, made for us by you. And then it has a definition of Wim Wham. Noun, Wim Wham, plural noun, Wim Whams, a quaint or decorative object, a trinket. And these are definitely quaint and decorative, but also practical. So I know that you are just going to absolutely love these. They are so beautiful. They've actually got one of my favourite flowers on, which is the rose. The rose was always my favourite flower. And then obviously the snowdrop for Lara. So yeah, prize for you. You've got to be in it to win it. Head over, not head over to the Ravelry group. Hold on, excuse me one moment. Why is it that as soon as you need to do anything where you can't scratch your nose or sneeze or cough, all of those things have to happen immediately? So this is for the 1 year of the Project Bag podcast, which is over in the Ravelry group. There will be other prizes for the 250 subscriber giveaway, and I've already given you the prompts for that earlier in the episode. Don't forget about that. Make sure you're commenting below because that is where I'm going to draw winners from. Okay, so now all that remains is for me to show you my yarns. I am so excited. This is your first proper look at the yarns that I am dyeing for Perth, my new autumn winter colourways. As you know, I dyed a collection for spring. It had a lemon kind of main colour, very pale yellow, and it drew on the pastels of painted eggs and sugar eggs and things like that. So I was thinking about autumn, and there can be a tendency to think coffees and cake and leaves turning brown, and it's lovely, but it's all very brown. And for me, there's always a richness about autumn, and the palette is just so diverse. There's so much to choose from. Now, what I wanted was a collection of semi-solids, and the reason I've gone for semi-solids is because for me, again, it's a very personal thing, and I could be completely wrong here, but for me, autumn is about coziness and texture and all those wonderful things, you know, like the crunch of the leaves under your feet. Everything just takes on another dimension almost in autumn, and you feel everything more keenly, and you smell things more sharply, and yeah, so that was kind of my inspiration. So here we have Afternoons, which is a beautiful golden yellow. It is coming up quite orange on the screen, so I'm not entirely sure why that is. But it is a kind of golden yellow brown, the kind of colour of autumn leaves in the afternoon. And this was inspired by the poet Philip Larkin, specifically his poem Afternoons. Summer is fading, the leaves fall in ones and twos. At swing and sandpit, young mothers assemble, setting free their children. Behind them stand husbands in skilled trades. It's a lovely poem. It's actually one that's been taught on the GCSE syllabus for a long time, but I've got a great love for Philip Larkin's poetry, him and Sylvia Plath, and I know that could probably sound quite cliched, but there's just something honest about Larkin's poetry. He doesn't dress things up in romance and make things seem cryptic and grand. He kind of deals with real emotions, real things, you know? That's what it means to me. And this colour is always one I've associated with that poem, Afternoons. So there's Afternoons. My next semi-solid, now the entire collection isn't finished yet. I've got two more colours, sorry, one more main colour to dye. And then I'm there, but I've gone for my palette inspiration was the I shared it, and I'll share a picture here as well. So I'm going to share a picture here of my colour inspiration, which actually came from fabrics that I've got as well that I'm going to be using for bags for Perth. So here's the green. It again semi-solid, this beautiful olivey sagey green. With slightly faded bits. There is actually a kind of yellow golden undertone to this green. I'm not sure it's showing up very well on screen. Let me see if I can twist it, because at the moment these are in skeins just hanging loose, and sometimes skeining them can actually make a difference as to how they look. Hang on, just one moment. Ready for this to all go horribly wrong, right? There we go. Oh, it's not going too bad. That's fine. Right, let's just tidy this up a bit. It's quite loosely skeined, but there you go. Oh, there you go, see. So for me, this is a mix of greens. It's the leaves that are starting to fade. It's that sagey green that I associate with autumn. It's got the shades of the spruce and the conifer trees in. We had big conifers at the bottom of my garden as I was a little girl growing up. And everything else would start to fade and kind of yellow and die down, but then you'd have this rich conifer green, absolutely pervasive. So there's that one. I'll take the opportunity to just twist the yellow one as well, except for that is not going to work well because it needs reskeining, this one. And my final one to show you, you did already see Port earlier, which is going to be part of this collection. I know it could seem a bit of a swizz, but honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I really like my Port colourway. And to me, that is an autumn winter shade. So, right. So my last one I told you was going to be purple, kind of similar to the cushions on my sofa, possibly with a bit more depth. And oops, nearly scanning on the podcast. This is totally professional, as always. There you go. Deeply, deeply tonal again, lots of kind of faded parts. And to me, it's berries, this one. But hopefully, if I put all three together, and you have to excuse the state of the gold, you can see what I'm trying to achieve here. This, whoop, see if I can hold them. This rich palette of warm colours that just make you feel warm and cozy and evoke all those rich tones of autumn, which are so beautiful, and I think vastly underrated. The last colour I've got to dye, you've seen Port already, which I've got in the cake. Oh, actually, that's the point. Hold on just one sec. Okay, I know it doesn't really work in the ball, but I had to just hold it up. There you go. That's my collection. There's one last colour to dye, which is going to be a silver grey, evoking like the silver birch and the colour of the bark as it fades out as well in some trees. So, but that is my Perth collection, my autumn winter collection, which will be debuting at Perth 2019 at the Dyers Centre in Perth, Scotland on the 8th and 9th of September, or 7th and 8th of September. I'm going to get the dates wrong. Anyway, get your tickets, don't miss out. Come and grab yourself some of my beautiful autumn winter colourways. They will be dyed. This is my 4-ply base. They will also be dyed on my DK base, and I cannot wait to bring these beauties with me to Perth. There's a possibility I've shown this off already, but just in case I haven't, look at this. It's a little acquisition. I might have shown it on the last podcast, and I apologise if I have. I haven't gone back and watched it yet. It's a little project pot, and in it is living a skein of Reverie by Truly Hooked. Now this is going to grow up to be her juniper tea. I got to try it on at Fibre East, and actually I think I have shown this because I think I've already talked about this episode. Oh dear. Well, in case I haven't, I actually got to try it on, and it was using her mohair lace base and this standard sock base in Reverie, held double, and it is just so beautiful. And she made the 4th size, and she said the 4th size looks good on me, so I'm going to do the 4th size, and that is one of the things I'm going to cast on as a reward to myself after I finished all the things for Perth. I'm nearly there. I've got just a couple of other colours to show you that you can find in the shop at the moment, and then we're just going to have a little bit of a chat. Okay, so on to shop update news. Can I just say a huge thank you to everyone who has supported and shared and shopped my new website. I really was very nervous about starting it, about making the move from Etsy, but it's just been fabulous. Thank you so much, you guys. So the first shop update went okay. I didn't put all my stock on it, or a huge range of stock on it, just in case it went wrong. I was so nervous, but it seemed to have worked. So I've popped some more things on there this week, including some project bags, which I haven't picked up to flash at you, but I thought I'd flash the yarn at you. So this is Fairies in the Back Row. It is a slightly punchier version of this one, which is Fairy Kisses. They go really nicely together. They would work really well as a fade. Fairy Kisses is slightly more subtle in its tones. The colours are still the same, but they are paler. Ooh, I photographed it on the grass after Alan cut it. Sensible, Gemma, sensible. So yeah, the colours are still muted. You've got the pale kind of periwinkle type blue and the pink. And here they're a bit stronger, a bit punchier, still with some speckles. So yes, you've got Fairy Kisses and Fairies in the back row. Before Wool Monty, I was looking at my colourways, particularly, so I'm just picking bits of grass off of this yarn. No grass will be included in any yarn purchases, just be assured of that. And I was looking at my standard colourways and thinking, well, I would want things to put with them. So obviously, Peacock is one of my favourite colourways. It was one of the first ones I ever dyed, and it's one of my most popular colourways, right up there with Grubby Goldfish. The pair of those just sell out like hotcakes. So here we go with Peacock, with the teals and the electric blue. And so I started doing solids to go with them, or semi-solids. And this one does, it's got the teal, but it's paler and slightly more washed out. So this is called I Like That One Too. There is a darker version, which is kind of between the two, called I Like That One. And basically I just dyed them lighter and lighter. But I really quite like that one. I think that's really super pretty. We also have, to go with fuchsia, this one, which I'm calling Purple Party. Whoa, that looks pink. Sweet Juniper. Right. Oh my goodness, that is coming out shockingly pink. I don't know what I've done with my camera resolution. This could be the thing again that happens. It always happens every podcast, is I say, oh, this looks really bright, or it looks really blown out. And then I watch it back on the actual laptop after I've done the editing. I'm like, oh no, it's fine. It's fine. But I really can't tell when I'm looking at the screen. So anyway, you've got these flashes of deeper purple, hot pink, and these pink purple tones all the way through. They're really good fun. Purple Party. And this is one that isn't in the shop update yet, but I'm going to give you a quick flash of it. It is going to be in my update in 2 weeks' time, just before I go to Perth. And this is going to be called Chloris. Here we are. I absolutely love it. This originally was a sketchbook colourway, by which I mean it was one of my skeins that I was hand painting on to try and achieve a certain colour. So actually it was to get the right green for this. I started off with a naked skein of yarn, bare skein of yarn, in one of my roasting tin dye baths. And I just started painting on with a particular dye, and then adjusting the quantities, adding different dyes into the mix. So until I got the recipe for this green, which is as yet unnamed. So if anyone wanted to suggest a name for this one, we've got Afternoons, which is this one, and Port, which is the red, but the other two, the purple and the green, are as yet unnamed. So anyway, this came out, and it was just meant to be one of a kind. But actually I was really rather taken with it when it was finished. And you can see the progression. And so I put it out to the world of Instagram and Facebook, and I said, well, what do you think? Should I repeat this? It's my cable tie. There we go, that's better. Should I repeat this or not? And what should it be called? And Veronique of Verone's Bags was one of the people who suggested a name for it. There were lots of amazing suggestions. Sea Glass, to me that's a little bit green for it. Song of the Sea I've already got. Tinkerbell, and so many wonderful names for this. But Chloris was the one that really appealed to me. And it's associated with green, and it's something to do with mythology. I'll try and find out and put a bit more in it next time. But there you go. So there is Chloris. So here we are, 1 year on, the end of the anniversary episode, the Podiversary episode. I cannot believe that people have been tuning in for a whole year, week in, week out, and having cups of tea and crafty chats with me. It's been so good, thank you. It's opened up a whole new world to me, and your support it just means the world. It really does. There are so many good podcasts out there. I subscribe to several of them. So the fact that some of you would choose to subscribe to mine and come and spend some time with me means a lot. It really does. I think for me, looking back, there have been some definite high moments, And there have been some kind of wobbly moments as well. And you guys have just embraced all of that. You've been with me on a year's journey that encompasses, or took in, my first trip to Perth, which was my first trip away, having lost Lara. Our very first episode, you had me talking about Lara's legacy and telling you about Lara and the pattern that Verity named after her in her book, which is just fabulous. And I've been tagged since then in so many pairs of Lara socks that have been knit, which is amazing. It really is. And it brings me a bit of comfort to think that so many people know her story and know my little girl. And I've been on such adventures as well. You know, I've started my hand dyeing journey, thanks to Amy for announcing it on her podcast and shoving me out of that nest. I've had vended at my first show, which if you'd asked me a year ago, is that in my 5-year plan, I would have said, yeah, maybe for year 3 or year 4, but year 2, that was amazing because the project bag actually started in 2018, January 1st, 2018. Not a lot really happened. That year because obvious reasons. So entering my 2nd year of the project bag to then vend at a big yarn festival and be about to go and vend at Perth, it never ever would have figured on my radar as being even a possibility. And I got there, goodness knows how, but also partly to do with all the support I've had from you lovely lot. So knitting and crocheting samples, for example, for my stall, which was such a help because I would not have got there on my own. I just wouldn't. It was too soon after anniversaries and birthdays and things like that. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to talk to you honestly and from the heart about how I feel 1 year into the podcast, and there's this weird tractor type thing just zooming up and down outside my window and making the worst noise, and I don't even know what it's trying to do or what it's for. It doesn't even look like a street cleaner. It's not a proper tractor. I don't know. And the man's overalls are incredibly clean. I'm always deeply suspicious of a worker with really, really clean overalls. That's not right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, what can I say? A year of nonsense, a year of me stumbling to get my words out, of multiple edits, of forgetting things, of leaving my knitting upstairs in the very first episode, of losing my coffee in the second, of trying to do Vlogmas but being struck down with the cold, and then my laptop charger blowing up. It's a great experiment. It's been a journey of all the things that could possibly go wrong, but there have been so many things that have gone right along the way. Your comments, your support, the friendships I've made, it's just wonderful. And here we go, ready for another year of the project bag. Fancy coming along? Take care. Bye.